Is it going on? What's on, brother?
Yo, what's up? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine, dude. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, bro.
Oh my God.
This is good stuff. This is good stuff. You think Kyler's coming back, I heard?
I think so. I think
You
so.
think so?
I made a,
That'd be cool. That'd be
yeah,
cool. I think he fits in it fits in pretty nicely.
yeah.
All right. Let's see. What's your style with the live streams? What's usually going on?
I've done
You
like,
got a layout? You got a itinerary?
there's 300 people. Not really, but like, I actually had some, like, I kind of wrote some questions,
All
like,
right, let's do it, dude.
ask you some stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you
Of course, dude. Let's do it.
so much for this up being here. Thank you for
Of course.
hosting.
Thanks for having me, man.
No, it's my pleasure, my pleasure. Oh my God. Like, honestly, I love this show so much. And I'm not just saying this because
It's
you're my favorite.
it's a pretty dope. It definitely is a fun show, I will say. Being someone that wasn't, uh, you know, really familiar with the Karate Kid and the legacy that it left, to jumping into doing this show for now 3 seasons, it's definitely a really awesome show.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
How are you doing? I know you asked me, but how are you doing in quarantine?
In
What's
quarantine, being in Los Angeles is definitely quite interesting. I feel like life is kind of just totally paused for a second. Like a lot of the stuff that I would normally do on a day-to-day basis is just not happening at all right now. But with that being said, I'm in a very fortunate position where I don't, where I'm able to basically do everything from the house and stuff like that. So it's definitely a good situation to be in, but definitely could be better.
what kind of
But
stuff are you doing to keep yourself busy?
keep myself busy. I just got a new mattress, so I threw my old mattress in my backyard, and I'm learning to do backflips and front flips and stuff like that. So I just started that today, watching television, movies, stuff like that. But just I'm in college right now, so just doing some school stuff as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Ah,
man.
I'm
What
just
about yourself? What do you? I saw the you got the stop motion animation.
yeah.
You said you're also still going to school, so
Yeah, I do Google Classroom stuff, just assign.
yeah, Google Classroom, your Zoom classes and whatnot. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
I'm on spring break now, so
Okay, yeah, nice. I'm on spring break this week too, so honestly, nothing has really changed. I feel like it's already kind of been spring break
yeah,
this whole time, but at least I don't have to, keep updated on any assignments and stuff like that. So that's pretty nice.
yeah, I agree. Okay, so can I ask you like some questions?
Ask me whatever you want, bro.
Thank you. Okay, I don't really, they're just like random, but
Okay, yeah.
so well, first off, I know you play tennis,
Yeah, I
right?
play tennis. I'm a god,
Are,
definitely a god on the court.
how long have you been playing?
I've been playing tennis on and off since I was maybe 6 years old. Because when I was six, I lived in Vegas, and then I moved back when I was around, let's say, 9. So I stopped playing for a little bit, but then when I got back into high school, that's the sport that I played. Just because it wasn't super time consuming, like I couldn't play a baseball or a basketball because I filmed half of the year, and those sports are really demanding in terms of like the regimen and the exercise that you're doing, and the commitment is much larger than tennis, which is a spring sport, which helps because we film in the fall. And also I'd already kind of been playing tennis for a bunch of years prior, so I was like in a position where I was not starting at the very bottom and had to climb up. I started in the middle, somewhere. But yeah, tennis is really good. Definitely much harder than it looks. I think a lot of people are like, dude, it's just you got a freaking frying pan and a ball and you just smack it across. But it's fun. Doesn't require, like, I feel like anyone can kind of get started into it. It's not like a football where it's like, dude, if you look like me, you cannot play football. You like football is out of the cards. Or it's like basketball where you're like, if you are below 6 feet, like you good luck. But tennis, I feel like, is a sport where it's like very applicable to a bunch of different people.
That's cool. So like, so you filmed in the
Hmm.
fall, and then
Yeah,
you did your schoolwork and stuff like on set? Is that like
Yeah. So luckily you know, my teachers and my facilitators over at my regular high school were kind enough to be like, look, um, being that I was like the first one at my old high school, um, to have this weird scenario where I would be gone for half a semester. They didn't really know how to tackle it. So luckily they were much more lenient and much more forgiving in terms of like, well, we don't really know what the right thing is. So the first time, the very first season of Cobra Kai, they said, look, just take an online course separately from our school, and whatever grade you get in that, you'll get in our in like, we'll just write that on the report cards. And while that was nice because I was kind of just like A's across the board, I struggled a little bit just because when I went back to school, the curriculum wasn't necessarily the same as the online course, so I started to fall back a little bit. But then the second and the third season, this past season, I mean, I'm over 18, so school is negligible. They're just like, fuck it, you got to deal with that on your own. Like when you're not filming, that's when you do school, you know? But so there's definitely like some benefits to being under 18, and I'd say more benefits to being over 18. But generally speaking, I do enjoy the over 18 life more on set.
yeah. So did like people from your like do people from your school like recognize you from Cobra Kai and are they like
You know what? To be quite honest, I've been doing acting for way longer, or I guess for much longer before Cobra Kai, and I never got noticed. And Cobra Kai was the first thing, especially because I feel like the projects that I worked on prior to this show were catered definitely towards adults.
yeah.
So like a lot of the kids that I went to school with would be like, maybe I recognize you from somewhere, but it was Cobra Kai that definitely was the first role that I was like, dude, I know like random kids from school, like, I know you from somewhere. Like, what the fuck what? We don't hang out. Like, what the heck? So, and then once the first season came out, then my name just around school, people like, I, when the first season of Cobra Kai came out, I was a junior in high school. And to anyone that was like, all the seniors just called me Cobra Kai because they didn't know my name, and they were just like, yo, what's up, Cobra Kai, da da da. And then my senior year, it was like I wasn't Xolo anymore. I like Xolo already is like not my first name, so everyone's like, if you know me, if like my friends know me as Xolo, and like people that don't really know me as Romario because it's my first name. But
Oh,
then there was this whole new group of people at my school who just called me Cobra Kai. It was just like, what's up, Cobra Kai, da da da. And I guess it was okay, but definitely not I would say like after I graduated high school, Cobra Kai really started to blow up.
did they know your name or did they just call you Cobra Kai?
Well, eventually everyone knew my name just because I started hosting the rallies at our school. So like our schools have like rallies every other month. I want to say they had rallies, and I would be like the hype man or the dude getting the crowd all like hyped up and stuff like that. So then people started to know me as Xolo and stuff like that. But it was definitely fun. I mean, I wouldn't trade it in for anything. It was super great blessing.
That's awesome. Um, so I was wondering what got
Mhm.
you into acting and well yeah, that's the first
Yeah. Um, Definitely like a loaded question. I started acting, honestly, before I even started acting, which was maybe, let's say, 8 or 9 years ago. I'd wanted to be something in the STEM field, like a mathematician major, a physics major, an engineering major. And then I started taking those classes in high school, and I was like, all right, this is definitely not something that I want to do. I took the AP physics, I took the AP calcs and the chemistries, and I was like, fuck that. There's no way that this is the life for me. And luckily I'd already been, you know, semi-successful in this industry, so I like was able to put all of my eggs in this basket and kind of say this is what I want to do. But initially acting was seen as a means to pay for college. So when I first started, you know, going out for stuff, it was just commercials and prints. So like commercials for Target and print for like H&M and Old Navy and the Children's Place and stuff like that. So it was just seen as a means to pay for college and to generate like some sort of savings. And then I'd say parenthood, which I had maybe found 3 years, 2 or 3 years into, acting, really solidified that it can be a job and something that has longevity rather than just something that I'm doing right now for fun. Working with all these talented actors, your Dax Shepherds, your Ray Romanos, whoever, really kind of opened my eyes to be like, oh shoot, this is something that I can do for the rest of my life and create a living off of. It isn't something, because I feel like, especially in Los Angeles, it's like I'm an actor but also doing this, and I'm an actor but also doing this on the side. So luckily I'm at a place right now where I can act and be a student, but eventually I'd like to, only do acting or only do writing.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So if you weren't, well, you wouldn't want to be a like in the physics.
If I wasn't acting,
Yeah.
I'd probably be some sort of musician, just because I really love music. And while I'm not like totally musically inclined right now, I feel like if I wasn't acting and investing so much time into that, I probably would be equally as passionate, just because I love uh, listening to music. I listen to all different types of music and stuff like that. Primarily like the hip hops and the jazzes, but really just everything. So I feel like if I didn't spend a ton of my, like, we spend 4 or 5 months filming a show, so I feel like if I wasn't spending that amount of time doing that, and I was spending it, getting really great at the drums or learning the piano, learning the guitar, stuff like that, I'd be killer.
Yeah. It's I love music, so
It's definitely something, music, movies, TV shows, anything that makes you feel is definitely right up my alley. And I'm not sure engineering makes me feel anything but sadness right now. But
yeah.
what about you? What's the plan for you?
Like what, like in the future, you
What do
mean?
you want to do? Yeah.
Um,
Do you know?
well,
It's definitely okay not to know.
I mean, I know where I want to go, which is
Okay.
like making movies and stuff.
Okay.
I just I've just always loved making movies, and I just
Okay.
love like just story and all that. That's why I like Cobra Kai so much, because it's not just like a action show like or something. It's
Yeah.
like there's an actual story behind it, and like with the music, it all ties together, because I was an '80s fan before Cobra Kai
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff. So that like I was just as drawn to that. But I also love like how like you have the school fight and everyone's on their phone like
Yeah.
the fight, because it's like that's what would happen
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's what would happen. Everyone's on their phone.
I
So
definitely see that. Would you say you're an 80s fan, by proxy because of your parents and your family members, or is this something that like they didn't really have much of an influence on?
well, I like my parents gave me like guitar lessons when I was like in kindergarten, so
Mm-hmm.
or preschool. So I like took lessons, and my guitar
Got you.
teacher, like taught me some '80s music, and then I just really
It
just
was just boom from there. Okay.
so
Dope.
music, movies, like that's stuff I like to do. So
That's pretty cool.
and with
Nice.
and with Cobra Kai, I like I don't know, I have some ideas to like make like I told you about the
Yeah, you
episode.
said you recreated the first episode, right? What
Yeah.
what other ideas you got?
Well, nothing like concrete, but like
Okay.
I want to do some like maybe some Cobra Kai projects. Like I was I don't know like just ideas, but like
Yeah.
fun little skit waiting
Mhm.
for season 3, and it's like just something like
Okay.
all these theories. It's just like a little skit.
Honestly, that's like the biggest deterrent for a lot of these people who are aspiring filmmakers, aspiring directors, producers, whatnot, is actually getting out and doing it. I feel like that's definitely the thing that separates people who are aspiring, insert your occupation here, to actually doing it. Especially just with myself. Like yes, I do acting, but I really, really love writing screenplays and writing scripts and stuff like that. And the biggest thing is actually doing it. Like today I sat here and was like, I could write a script, or I could play Minecraft with my buddies, like that. Like it's stuff like that that really is. And then I got finished playing for however many hours with my buddies, and I was like, damn, I could have used that time to do something more productive, you know? So definitely, you know, even going out and recreating the first episode, you know, making the videos that you do is definitely like you're way ahead of the curve in terms of, you know, there's people who are like, yeah, I mean, everyone has ideas, you know, you have ideas, I have ideas, you know, everyone has ideas, but it's actually manifesting those ideas and making it happen that really separates you from the rest of the bunch. So I mean, you're already doing it, you know, you already have your platform. So I think now it's just expanding on that, which I think you're doing, you know, a fine job of right now.
Thank you. It's funny because I'm actually like more stressed during this quarantine because I'm not in school. I have all these projects I want to
Yeah,
do, and I'm like
it's too many choices.
too many exactly.
Yeah,
So I know you can't talk about season 3, and honestly, I don't even want to like. I don't want to know because
yeah. You don't want it to be spoiled. I feel that.
spoiled. I love the show so much. It's like, you know, everyone's asking like all these things. It's like I want to be like I want to enjoy it when it comes
Mm-hmm.
out. Like,
Yeah.
that's the number one thing. Like I turn on my phone. I don't want anything. But so is there like what are you most excited for fans to see in season 3? If there was like without like giving away anything, if you could answer that, if not, that's fine. But like,
What is the thing I'm most excited about for people to see in season 3? I think, you know, season 1 was definitely about creating this universe and creating this scenario in which Johnny and Daniel have lived their lives for 30 something years and are now in 2018, 2017,
yeah,
you know, California, right? So the first season was all about setting up that dynamic and saying, if these characters were around today, what would be happening with them? I think season 2 really was about like, all right, we know who these characters are now. We've established the Robbies, the Sams, the Miguels, the, you know, the Aishas, the Eli's. Now let's expand on these characters. Let's make them more nuanced. Let's create certain relationships, you know, and draw certain lines. Whereas the third season, I think, is definitely about like raising the stakes, especially because just on a technical point, like making a show, especially with um, a show like Cobra Kai, which really, you know, before it even came out, was getting shit on. Like people were like, "There's no way that this is," you know, when that first trailer dropped, people were parts of two groups primarily. I obviously this is an exaggeration, but it was the groups who were like, wow, some fan really made a really cool video and like this would be cool. And then the other group of people were like, why are they ruining another thing that was so close to my childhood? Like first it was, you know, Star Wars, and then it was da-da-da, which by the way I feel like I still enjoy, you know, those movies. I still enjoy the new Star Wars movies and stuff like
yeah,
that. But, you know, from the get-go was getting crapped on basically, and then it came out and people were like, all right, I was wrong. Like it's pretty cool. So I think it's easy the first season because no one has any expectations. The bar is set so low that anything above that is like great because people are like, oh shoot, I was surprised. Then season 2, people are like, all right, I had some expectations. Now let's see what they do. And then they're blown away again. The hard thing about every season after that is you're like, we got the 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. We got these accolades. How do you plus one that? How do you get 101%? You can't, you know? So it's, you know, finding things, and especially with a show like Cobra Kai that in like utilizes nostalgia, there's only so far that can go. There's only so many characters they can bring back. There's only so many storylines, like almost only so much fan service that they can utilize until the show's like, all right, like who is Miguel with this time? Like some other bad chick comes into town, and you know who is Johnny's love interest this time? You know, so there's only so much of that can happen before people are like, all right, we've seen this before, you know?
yeah.
So I think the thing I'm most excited about in season 3, to tie it all back together, is just that the you're gonna see our writers and our creators make something that really doesn't rely on nostalgia, really doesn't rely on these aspects. You know, while there is that, while there, of course, like, you know, they announced Daniel's going to Japan, you know, this stuff is happening. While that is like awesome, and while that is something that people are going to be like, oh crap, this is crazy. You know, I am a little jealous that, you know, I didn't get to go, but this is going to be the first season where you see our writers really transform, and because, you know, that's what I'll say that on that before I you know, go off on too much of a tangent. But this season really does show just the quality writing that we have, and I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I've always said like they're so smart because I also didn't I wasn't a fan of Karate Kid. Not that I didn't like it, I just never watched it. And season 1 came out, and then like a couple months later, I'm on YouTube. I'm bored. I'm like, okay, whatever this is. I put it on in the background, and then like, just automatically, I'm like, this is so good. Like,
yeah, you're like, nani? Yeah, exactly.
I do my research. It was
yeah,
great.
And that's what I love about it, is that it really is. You know, I think primarily it comes from a lot of parents being like, yo, son, yo, daughter, I loved the Karate Kid. Let's watch this show together. And then now, you know, these kids can be like, oh, shoot, I'm like Miguel. I'm like Eli. I'm like Tori. I'm like, you know, and it's something that really families as a whole can enjoy, rather than like a Game of Thrones where it's like, get out of the room. You cannot watch what we are watching right now. This, like, you can watch whatever show you want on your time, whereas this one is really, with the exception of like some mild violence and some pretty like tasteful swearing, you know, I think our show is really catered to everyone.
Yeah, I told my mom and dad to watch it. I got my grandma and grandpa, who are not even like, they you know, they're a little not really with the technology and
Got
stuff.
you.
I explained it to them, and they love it. And like, it's really like, even if you don't like karate or stuff, like,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
show for,
I
like,
agree.
I feel like whoever watches the first episode will like it. I feel like that first episode is the most brilliant like setup. It's like, it's my favorite episode personally, because even though it's not like Cobra Kai yet, it's not like the actual show. It's like when you watch everything play out, it's like, you know where it's going. And I feel like,
Yeah,
I've watched it like so many times. So
it's definitely, I mean, it's cool, and I think the first episode of every season, you know, so far, for our show is definitely going to be one for the books. Especially this season's episode 1 is going to be really cool.
yeah, so I've like, what I love what they did. Well, first off, I don't love that Miguel's in a coma, because, you
Right.
know, but at the
Right, you
same,
don't love that he's going to die in season 3, obviously. Like, nobody's going to love that, you know.
well, shoot, did you just not kidding? But yeah, like, I mean, obviously that ending was terrible. You know,
Right.
it didn't leave you with a happy. Like, season 1 ended very, like, wasn't happy, but like the season 2 trailer, it's like, it was like all like happy, like, or
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, it's like upbeat. It's like the battle, but once that end came, then it really made it like, okay, this isn't a joke anymore. There's no JoJo's. This is far bigger than that. And like, I like, you know, I write movies and stuff, and I've like tried
Mm-hmm.
to like say, like, try to predict stuff. I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to come up with concrete stuff, because I don't want my expectations, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, there's so, it's so hard to really tell what will happen. Like, did you,
Mm-hmm.
like, first off, did you know what was gonna happen? Like, when you knew that your character was gonna like go in a coma or whatever at the end of episode 10, did you know what was gonna happen after? Did you ask them, or no?
You're saying what happens after, as in what happens in season 3, or did I
Yeah.
know that, like, going into, you know, the very beginning of the second season, did I know that I was going to get thrown off?
Well, I was asking if you knew that you were gonna, like, if you knew what was gonna happen to your character after,
Yeah. So okay.
But
So
that's both of good questions. So you can.
so this is, I guess. So going into, let me backtrack a little bit. Also, I wanted to say I saw Julia was in the chat. Julia Machio, shout out to you. We need
Oh,
to get some. We need to get some burgers the next time you're in LA, Julia. She's swaggy. Um, um, First off, so like going into the very first season, we didn't know anybody. I didn't know Mary. I didn't know Ralph. I didn't know any of those guys. So what we did, right from the get go, was had a meeting with all of the cast and our three creators, Josh and Hayden, right? And they were like, "Hey guys, we're really glad that everyone is here. Let's go through the beats of this season," right? And it was that very first, literally the first day that I was in Atlanta, that they were like, "All right, so this is the idea that we have. Miguel wins the tournament, but it's at the cost of like really Johnny realizing like he's created this monster, And they were like, this is the arc that we have for this season. Then, right before we started filming season 2, they were like, I had a lunch with them over at, their lots or whatever, saying like, this is the idea that we have for season 2. Now, there were some things that changed between when we had this conversation and like what actually happened, like stuff like, actually, I'm just gonna totally skip over that part.
Okay.
But so going into season 3, I knew what they wanted to happen. Really, the biggest, I guess, decider in what actually happens was if if season 3 was going to be the last season, then they had to be like, we want to create an ending that has like a fulfilling ending, so people can be like, oh, okay, this is, I feel happy, instead of like I don't want to name drop any other shows or whatever, but instead of shows where people will be like, this was a terrible ending, So,
yeah.
and to be quite honest, we still don't know the answer. So being that we went into season 3 not knowing if we were going to get a season 4, they had to create this, universe where it ends on, somewhat of a cliffhanger, somewhat of a like wanting for more, but also feeling fulfilled with what's already happened, So I think to answer your question, yes, I do know what they have planned for, and I did know what they had planned for after I got dropped off the ledge, and even, at like in terms of that. But sometimes it doesn't happen exactly like how, like, it wasn't until I got the script that I knew exactly what happened. Obviously, going into season 2, they said like, hey, we have this idea, you get super injured. They didn't know if it was like, is his spine broken, is his neck broken, like they don't know the exact details, but they knew like we want it to be like, oh shoot, is this guy, is he, and this is something that going into season 3, like they still want to uphold, because the the wackest thing is when it's like some super severe injury happens and it's just like, boop, all right, it's gone now, because it's, I mean, that's not realistic. So getting into a position where you create some sort of realism, I think, is super prominent to our creators, and definitely is something that they have in their mind.
Yeah. I specifically, like, for this season, I'm excited your character, because I feel like, I mean, you don't have to say anything because I don't want you to because I mean, it's kind of hard
Dude,
because
I've been trained for this for from day one. But I'm still learning so much. Like there's times I've I'd say not this season, because I've gotten a lot better at it, but like past seasons where they're like, why did you post this? You have to delete this now. And it's like, oh shoot. So now I've gotten like much better at, kind of dodging the questions or doing like the half answered questions. But when
yeah.
I swear I was like the Tom Holland of our freaking cast, because I like, it was something super simple that I really had no clue. Like there were a couple of moments this year. I think like the big one that people were talking about is me posting pictures about Joe and Bo, like, and what actually happens was if season 3 was going to be the last season, then they had to be like, we want to, but like this season I definitely have gotten way better at it. I'm like, because they would chew me out. They'd laugh at me. They'd be like, "What are you doing? Like, you're ruining this for everyone." But I'm good now, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't even want to like try and ask you anything, but I will say that like, okay, wait, can you say if you could just say, can you say if Miguel is alive? Is that like, I think I know the answer, but like,
I mean,
I want,
just from the end of season 2, we know he's alive. You know,
okay.
at some, I mean, you know, he's alive. Whether or not that like continues throughout the whole, you know, season 3 is definitely up for debate. But you know, at the very least, that it survived and is in critical condition from the injury. So you
Okay.
know, at the very least, you know, episode 1 there will be like, I'll have some sort of breathing, you know, but whether or not that continues from the rest of the season is definitely up for like question.
And you don't have to say anything because I don't want to like, because this is obviously going to go, this is like my thought, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you do recover or
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited to see like as an actor, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you'll have to like, if it happens, I like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously this whole situation sucks, but it's kind of, I mean, it must be kind of cool. Like now you're like in a different situation, you know, it's like physical therapy.
Yeah, and I mean,
So
I definitely agree with you that it's good to, like, while it would be super fun to play the Hawks of the world, like, I would be screaming and angry every single time I'm on screen, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
so it definitely is nice to have some sort of nuance. And I mean, you see this, the fucking scene that kills me, sorry for cursing, but the scene that kills me every single time is this voicemail scene at the end of season 2, where I'm
Okay.
like, it was funny because we filmed that while we were at the school. It was just like me, Josh, and Hayden, and like
Is
our sound guy
at the
with a
hospital?
mic. What happened?
At the hospital? Is
Yeah, so that
oh
hospital was connected to our school. Like that was one facility. We filmed at a college, so they had
oh
like a hospital facility for students who were training to be in the medical field. So
oh wow.
all of that, the hospital stuff, the school stuff, was all filmed on the same location. So we were literally filming fight scenes, and they were like, "All right, Xolo, we're filming, you know, Hawk and Dimitri's fight right now. Let's move you over to the hospital side." Like there was a morning where I got all of my makeup, my prosthetics on for me being in the hospital bed, right? With all of this stuff. And that's where it's like, that's where Johnny sees me during that voicemail. We shot that in the morning. Then I got some of it off and we filmed the crane up from me falling off of the stairs. So like less bruised, but definitely bloody. And then we took all the makeup off and filmed the fight portion. Then, you know, we went back to the hospital. So it was like we were doing everything, but we filmed while they were filming the Stingray scene where he's interviewing to be part of this position. You know, we were in the next room over, you know, with a mic in this like little room recording this voicemail. And I remember like they were like, we want like 3 or 4 levels to like a happy version to like a version that when you hear it, it's like, oh man, this is sad, you know? And they I don't think they went with like the super extreme, like the one that was just gonna like tear people apart, but like it definitely was sad. And it, like even I knew what was coming. I knew that the voicemail was coming up, and I was still like, oh my god, this is sad, you know?
I've watched
So,
it 20 times and I still cry
yeah,
every time. That's the one part that gets me out of like every. That's the one.
yeah,
What
that
was
part is definitely. I was like, oh my god, especially
he's
because you don't know with what take they're gonna go with. They could have just used the happy one, and I would have been like, oh okay. But I was like, oh my god, that one. No,
what was the happy one? How is the happy one different?
honestly, you know that we filmed that like a year and a half. Like I'm not super positive, but it definitely was not as like this one, the one that they went with. And I hope I don't butcher this, but was very much, you could hear like the joy in my voice because I'm like looking forward to seeing this guy. So I think they wrote it with the intention of me saying it sadly, but I think one of the very first takes that we did was just super happy. Like that you would just be like, "Oh man, this sucks." Whereas the take that they went with was definitely like, "Oh my god." Like really invokes the regret in
Yeah.
Johnny for being like, "Oh my god, I was hanging out with Robbie," you know.
So, this is just a question on the spot.
Yeah.
What if what if Johnny answered the call? What do you think? Because Miguel was gonna tell him about Tori. What do you think would have like? Do
Right.
you think anything changed?
I think okay, so Miguel calls Johnny because he realizes like
To- After the party?
he after the party because he's like, fuck, I kissed my ex-girlfriend and like I need to figure out how to navigate this, right? So that's what he's calling about. I
Yeah.
think had Johnny picked up the phone, I think the fight still would have happened.
Yeah.
I think the fight still would have happened because I wouldn't have. There was no way for me to get to either of those girls before the fight happened, you know.
Hmm.
But I think maybe there could have been some like different outcome. Honestly, even had I had like this fulfilling conversation with Johnny, I still feel like I would have gotten thrown off the edge. And if anything, I feel like that would have made it worse.
Yeah.
That like Johnny tried to stop it, but it still wasn't enough, you know. But I'm not
Yeah.
too sure. This is all speculation, you know.
Yeah. I got you. No, that's the fun of it.